Bettor Sports Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm, YouTube, Twitter, the BSN app, wherever you guys are joining in here. Appreciate you coming in on a Tuesday afternoon. We got MLB wildcard games already started up. The Rangers and Rays are first pitch. They're the third inning now, rolling along. But we got three more games tonight to give you guys some best bets and player props and picks for these games. Next game starting up in about 30 minutes, so we'll get these picks in before that game starts up. We got NBA odds and futures to talk about with our guy Justin Fensterman in just a little bit, so we'll bring him on shortly. And I got Jon Impemba here because, Jrue Holiday was involved in one of those big moves, so I got to get a Celtics take from him. What's up, John?
Doing pretty good. Dan, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Like, I got my Phillies shirt on. The Phillies are taking on the Marlins tonight. I'm ready for it. Try not to have that bias lean in any of these picks.
Listen, I see our little pre-show discussion sheet here, and we're on some correlating plays here today.
We are. I'm not to give it away early, but I'm glad you got a pick back in the Phillies tonight, so I can get behind that. Let's dive right into it with some picks and some bets for these games, because again, we got the Twins and the Blue Jays coming up in about under 30 minutes here, so we got to get at least that game broken down before. But I'm sure we'll get to all these picks shortly here. Our best bets for tonight. I'll let you have the floor here for your best bet before I give out mine. What's up?
Yeah, I'll go two right now because, again, this game is starting in 30 minutes here. But my best bet of the day, we're going Pablo Lopez over the 16.5 outs at plus 100 on DraftKings Sportsbook. So you're getting even money on Lopez here today. Again, I think that this is a good spot for him. With it being the playoffs, I'm less worried about these. Not that he's been a guy that's been shortened outings at all, but like we can almost count on some of these pitchers going deeper in the games than maybe we would have seen during the regular season, where maybe 90, 95 pitches would have been too much. But we could see him go 100, 110 here in the playoffs if it's a close game. So I like the 16.5 outs. They're not going to pull him early if he gives up 2 runs or whatever. They're going to ride their ace here in game 1. So, they're in this wild card game here. So I do like Lopez here at plus 100. And then I'll go with Lopez getting the win as well at plus 195. For me, I think the Twins are in a good spot today.
Yeah, give me the Twins money line as my best bet. Same lines with you. I think Lopez is going to give them a really good outing here. He's got a 2.76 ERA, 3.01 FIP since the start of August. Been rolling right along here. On the other side, it's Kevin Gausman, who he's been good, but slightly worse since the start of August than Lopez. And I think the Twins do have the advantage here. Gausman also, if you look at his postseason history, 2 shaky outings in his last 2 postseason starts. So I think that kind of plays into it here. And the Twins offense been red hot. They're coming in with a 351 WOBA over the last 2 weeks. Their offense has been good against right-handed pitching as well in this stretch. Better than the Blue Jays offense against righties. So that gives the advantage over to Lopez, as you were saying too. And the Twins have a bullpen advantage here for sure with, I think, we'll see, obviously, with Lopez, hopefully he goes deep. But if they need Duran for 2 innings, that is very much in the cards. But they have good relievers outside of him. I think in the later innings, they're going to close out the win. So I like getting it basically, a pick 'em on the odds there. I like the Twins to get this game 1 win in the wild card. They're getting Royce Lewis and Carlos Correa back, too, in the lineup with their injured the last couple weeks, but they're back. Buxton is not on the wild card roster, so that's a little bit of a loss. But I think getting Royce Lewis and Correa back is definitely huge for an offense that's been clicking without them either way in these past couple weeks. So we're both on the back end Lopez and the Twins here. I like your Lopez outs call too because he's a guy. You see some of these front end starters, him, Corbin Burns today for the Brewers, like. They need good long starts from them. Save the bullpens for games 2 and 3 in this wild card series. A starter that I don't know the pick been thrown out here, but a guy that could go shorter is Brandon Pfaadt for the Diamondbacks because a rookie on the road. If he runs into trouble early, that might be a spot where the Diamondbacks really look to save because they got Zach Gallen going tomorrow. But with the Lopez call, I do think they're going to look for him to go deeper if possible in this game. So I like that call. And yeah, to get the win, I have the Twins winning, so I hope Lopez gets the win there too. All right, what other any other picks you got for these other games too?
Yeah, again, another sort of correlated play for me here. I got Phillies money line minus 155 today against the Marlins, and with that, I'm going to plug in Zach Wheeler to get the win at plus 150. Again, I'm expecting these number one front-end starters here to pitch deeper into these games, which gives them better chances to get the win. So you look at Miami overall in the year, they've been a little bit worse against right-handed pitching. Wheeler's faced them 3 times, has pitched pretty well against them in those 3 starts here as well this season. And even though a lefty is on the mound for Miami, the Phillies offense is actually hitting lefties really well this season. So I'm going to ride with Wheeler to get the win at plus 150 and the Phillies money line here minus 155.
I love it. Thank you for picking the Phillies. In this
I wasn't even thinking about you being a Phillies fan when I made the play, so there's no show bias here. When I was doing the research.
I mean, listen, I put some money on the Phillies to win just because I'm going to be rooting for them, obviously. But I do think that Wheeler versus Luzardo is an advantage for the Phillies. And yeah, you mentioned it. I think Wheeler should go deep enough to get this win. And I looked at his outs prop, didn't ultimately go there, but I do think he can go, into the 7th inning tonight because the Phillies have. I know Aaron Nola has pitched a little bit better, but they have him going in game 2. I feel like they're going to want to save some of their top bullpen arms, if possible, for tomorrow's game if Nola runs into trouble in that game. So I do think Wheeler is – they're going to look for him to have a strong outing here. And, yeah, you mentioned the bats against Luzardo. And one of my picks to back that part of the bet for you is I'm going with Bryce Harper – over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, plus 100 on BetMGM. He's coming in, hitting well, 389 over his last 7 games. Much better home numbers this year. You look at his home road splits, 352 batting average, 622 slug at home against a 233 batting average and 374 slug on the road. This is a spot you always look for him to be at home to go over this prop. And he's been over this 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 17 of his last 20 home games. That's before the Phillies clinched a playoff spot, and he came off the bench and sat a game. But before that, he was going over this left and right at home. And Luzardo, he does have better numbers against lefties, and Harper doesn't have good career BVP against Luzardo, which is kind of going against this. But I think the playoff atmosphere on the road for Luzardo might come into play. He also has a 5.91 career postseason ERA from a few outings with the A's. And again, Harper at home here. I think he has the advantage. Last year, because I in my mind, I was like, all right, Harper really started out hot in the playoffs for the Phillies. And last year, before the Phillies bats went a little cold in the World Series against the Astros, in the wild card, divisional, and NLCS series, Harper hit 419 with a 1351 OPS combined in all those games. So I'm looking for him to, get the offense going, started tonight.
Yeah, listen, I don't mind that one. I was a little weary of it because it was a boosted play today on one of the books as well. So I feel like sometimes when they boost,
it is. I missed that.
Yeah, I feel like when they boost, sometimes when they boost those props, it's almost like an enticement to like, hey, you're getting better odds on it. Like, lay the line, and I'm like,
they know it's gonna lose. Yeah.
So I got a little weary on it. So, but I mean, listen, he's Bryce Harper. If Luzardo's not long for this game, he can get a good spot for the bullpen. But like you said, the lefty one is always a little. I'm a little weary on it. Kyle Tucker, obviously, there are certain guys that hit lefties, really well. This, hasn't been the right split for Bryce this year, but anything's possible in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get maybe a shorter outing from Luzardo, and against one of these relievers can catch that Harper 1.5. You got a pick on Luzardo, right?
I do, actually. I like the strikeouts here. Even though the Phillies have hit them pretty well, last 30 days, it's also like a 27-28% strikeout rate against lefties. So Luzardo's number at 5.5 for a guy that we've seen hit double-digit strikeouts at times this year. I think it's a doable number for him. So even if he doesn't last long in this game, I could see him getting some strikeouts early enough to hit the over here.
Yeah, the Phillies do have strikeout issues against lefties too. So I could see that coming through within the first few innings for sure, even if they put across a couple runs. I'm taking a page. By the way, you mentioned Tucker, and we got Steven Fagan on YouTube chiming in saying, "Let's go Astros, baby." He's gonna have to wait until the divisional round to see the Astros, but they earned it. They earned the bye to win the AL West, and we'll see who they match up with. But that's the Astros team is one. I have them going back to the World Series. Honestly, I think it's going to be they're really clicking, especially late in the season. Their offense, as we know, but their pitching staff has really come around too. So I think the Astros are in a strong position this postseason. One of my picks, I'm taking a page out of your book here. I'm going Corbin Carroll over a half stolen base. So he's getting a stolen base here, plus 215 odds on FanDuel. I thought this might be a pick you'd throw out there, but I'm going with it here. Corbin Burns on the mound for the Brewers. He's allowed 29 stolen bases this year, 80% success rate too in steals against him. Corbin Carroll, as we know, has been steal bags left and right all season. 54 steals for him this year. Only got caught 5 times too, so good success rate for him. And there's just this overall vibe of Diamondbacks coming into this series. I think the Brewers have a significant advantage in starting pitching, bullpen, and overall offense for this game. If the Diamondbacks want to win this series or want to take this game 1, I think they're going to need to use their speed on the base pass to get guys in scoring position, play a little small ball, and especially with Carroll, he's like their top stolen base guy for sure. So I'm looking for him to get going. If he gets on base, I think he's going to be trying to steal bags. So, give me a plus 215 odds on FanDuel. I think it's a great spot.
I like it, especially, DraftKings, for whatever reason. The total base props for these guys today were all set at a half, but they were juiced way to the over. So it was like minus 190 over half a total base for Corbin Carroll today. I still almost want to put money on that, even with the crazy juice, because it feels – these are usually set at like 1.5 or something like that, so to have it at a half a total base today, if he gets on, I agree with you. Like the Diamondbacks plan should literally be as much pressure as possible on the pitchers and catchers to throw these guys out, and they have the speed of guys to do it. I'd even look at Ketel Marte's stolen base prop. Usually, his numbers are pretty highly up there because he doesn't have a lot of stolen bases on the season, but you might find his stolen base prop like plus 400, plus 500 today.
I was just pulling it up right now. I looked at obviously I threw out Corbin Carroll because he's more of a sure thing to get the stolen base, sure.
But Marte has always been a stolen base guy until this season. So they could maybe look to utilize that a little bit more.
Looking at they got they got him. I was looking at the total bases. Yeah, they're all at a half.
At a half, yeah.
Steals. He's at plus 750.
That's what I'm saying. Like I would be willing to throw a little bit on Ketel Marte's stolen base here.
Okay.
Because if they do want to use that speed of his, again, that was part of his game until this season for whatever reason. He only had 8 stolen bases, but he had all that power this year. But you look at last season or the last couple of years, he's been a guy that was willing to run a little bit. So I think it could be something to take a peek at.
Yeah, I was also looking at if you want some longer odds, like Ketel Marte is a good one. Perdomo is at plus 600. Mm-hmm. Even like if you're looking at Christian Walker's at plus 900. Alec Thomas, he had
double-digit steals this year, didn't he?
Yeah. That's why I think if any of these guys gets on, I feel like they're going to have a semi-green light. Alec Thomas is at plus 700. I think
all you got to do is have one of those guys hit, right? And you're paying off your other bets.
Right.
Sprinkle a few. If one goes, you're golden today. So,
yeah. And I feel like, I don't have the stats in front of me, but who's going to be behind plate? Contreras probably for the Brewers. Yeah. I don't think he's got a great arm to throw out guys. So I feel like, again, the numbers on Corbin Burns, he's allowed 29 stolen bases and 80% success rate there. So, yeah, I think we could see 1 or 2 steals from the Diamondbacks here. So pick your spot. The juicier odds on a guy like Ketel Marte could be nice. Another bet I'll throw out here before we talk some NBA with Justin Fensterman. I got the Diamondbacks team total under 3.5 minus 128 on FanDuel. I looked at the Brewers, but their money line's kind of juiced. But I do think overall in this game, the Diamondbacks offense is going to be limited. Corbin Burns coming in really strong, 2.27 ERA over his last 6 starts. That includes 3 scoreless outings in this recent stretch. Also has a 2.71 ERA since the All-Star break. And behind him, I do think he has he's one of those candidates because Brandon Woodruff is out for this wild card series for Milwaukee. I think they're going to be looking for Burns to have a good start here. So you can look at his innings too. But behind him, the Brewers have a strong bullpen. League best bullpen ERA over the past 2 weeks at a 1.80 ERA, 2.16 pen ERA in the month of September too. We know with Devin Williams, but they have a number of guys for the 6th, 7th, 8th innings that can come in and really limit the Diamondbacks here. And the Diamondbacks offense against righties over the past 2 weeks, sub 300 WOBA, a bottom tier offense overall in the month of September too. And they come in just slumping. They, under 3.5 runs scored for them in 5 straight games coming into this one. And have just scored 3 runs combined over their last 4 games. So I think this is going to be a spot where the Diamondbacks, like I mentioned, they're going to need to win, if it's a lower scoring game. But I think overall their offense is going to be limited behind Burns and a really good Milwaukee bullpen.
Yeah, I like it. Just to give you more info on the stolen base prop there. William Contreras, not a good catcher. Baseball Savant sort of has a catcher above average in terms of like runs. And he's ranked 41st among catchers. He's at a -1. Gabriel Moreno is actually the best catcher based off this Baseball Savant statistics here. They got him ranked as a 9. So if 9 is the best in the league, William Contreras is -1. So
I'm looking. Do we have a Brewers lineup yet? I'm sure we do because this game's at 7 p.m. Eastern. Just to see if he is catching. Okay, yeah. So Contreras is behind the plate for the Brewers here. So we got Mike Mailman asking about a Carroll home run prop tonight. I think it's possible. I do think the Diamondbacks. I just mentioned their team total under, so I don't know if I'd go there. But I do think like Carroll's definitely got the pop. If he's getting on base and not and stealing bags, I think that's more of the avenue I'm looking at for him. But I don't know.
Yeah, not a lot of home runs allowed by Corbin this year.
Okay. Carroll plus 700 are the odds for him to go deep. Corbin Carroll, by the way.
Yeah, let's see what his numbers against lefties are here. Now against lefties this year, only get 257 slugging allowed by Corbin Burns. So that's basically a single. So there's a reason why it's so high. So
yeah, if you want to throw like half a unit on it, for him to go deep, I do think like if the Diamondbacks are scoring runs, it's either going to be by a stolen base or 2 and like a sac fly, small ball as I mentioned, or a solo home run or 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think there's a chance for Carroll to go deep for sure.
Yeah.
By the way, Smokey the Cat asking about some fantasy options there. This is just a betting show, so apologies. We won't be able to answer your question there, but if you can
get in the Fantasy Slam Discord, we got 7-day free trial right now. FantasySlam.com/win. Get your 7-day free trial. Get in the Discord. We'll answer your question in there.
Yeah, and on that note,
scan the QR code or right there, FantasySlam.com. This is the last week, by the way, for the 7-day free trial. So if you sign up this week, you get your 7-day free trial. And you can move forward to it. So.
Yeah, listen, we got NHL and NBA seasons starting up, so you want to get the DFS playbooks for those sports. Obviously, we got the NFL and the baseball playbooks coming out regularly here. College football too that I'm giving out. So yeah, get on the All Pro subscription. You get that Discord chat with the All Pro subscription as well, and answer all your fantasy questions there for waivers and all that. All right, let's flip the script to talk some NBA here and bring on Justin Fensterman, our good pal. He's over at Fantasy Guru, the lead NBA expert for Fantasy Guru, also hosting the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Game Day Morning Show. also an oldies rock DJ on the radio. What's up, Fensty?
How are you doing, Fensty?
What's up, fellas? How you doing? It's a great time here. You guys talking some baseball playoffs. You got hoops and hockey started up, football rolling, man. What a great time to be a sports guy, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry, your Mets are not in the playoffs, so we can't talk them.
Yeah, of course not. Thanks a lot. Now I know who I'm rooting against in the MLB playoff. Huh?
Oh, the Marlins, right? You're rooting against the Marlins?
Of course, yeah.
We had to bring you on, man, because some obviously big trades in the NBA, and you're the NBA expert that I always go to for this for these takes and some futures and look aheads. Let's start with the Dame Lillard trade because this was the huge one. You could see the odds here. Milwaukee and Boston now the co-betting favorites to win the East at plus 180. What does this Lillard trade do for you in your overall view of the Bucks? Are they, we'll get to the Celtics in a minute here, bringing on Jrue Holiday in this moving parts of the trade too. But Milwaukee getting Dame Lillard, what's your take on this?
I mean, definitely helps Giannis out. We all know what Lillard can do from an offensive standpoint. However, talk a little bit of the negative side of it because we're all into the flash. Oh, man, now Giannis and Lillard together on the same team. But they're going to be losing out on a little bit of defense there in the backcourt, Milwaukee. That's something that they're going to have to really consider there. And I know that they got Malik Beasley to help out with that. But still, it's going to be a little bit of a rough transition defensively. Offensively, though, I don't think Giannis and Lillard are going to get in each other's ways. I think you're going to be seeing Lillard stay a lot like he always tends to do, a lot at the arc unless the lane is open because Giannis needs the elbow to attack it. So I think when you bring in some of these top-end talents with some of these other established players, it's not always a fit. For instance, something like a Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, didn't see that being a fit at all because they do the exact same thing. I don't think Lillard, Middleton, Giannis, I don't think they're going to get in each other's ways. They play the best of different parts of the court and was just very shocked because we were all thinking Miami, maybe Brooklyn. And to see the Bucks end up landing Lillard, this is a win now mode and proof that Milwaukee wants Giannis to stay in Milwaukee. And this is the move that gets that done.
Yeah, I feel the same way there, Fancy. You look at the way that big three is now going to be set up. It's it's not even like a marginal offensive upgrade. It is a humongous offensive upgrade from Jrue Holiday to Dame Lillard. And as long as a healthy Chris Middleton can kind of continue to play that perimeter spot now where he's like the Ray Allen, we always talk about big threes. For me, when you talk Paul Pierce, Garnett, and Ray Allen's job was to sit in the perimeter and catch those jump shots. That's what Middleton can do. Lillard's going to handle the ball and be the guy that gets a lot of the offense flowing. And then, Giannis is going to do what Giannis does down low and dominate the paint and get the fouls and rebounds. So I think offensively that team is huge. But like you said, defensively, it's a big step back. I mean, Jrue Holiday is one of the best on-ball defending guards in the NBA. He has a lot of size. He can handle guys like Jimmy Butler and whatnot in the playoffs. And now they're going to have to find a way to replace that defensive front or backcourt presence of that there. So will be interesting to see. I do find it funny. They were very Vegas favorites early, and then as soon as that Jrue Holiday trade happened, Celtics are right back there tied with them. So.
Oh, absolutely. And John, that's when I messaged you and I said, man, you guys made out good. I was jealous of you being a Knicks fan. And listen, very happy with Jalen Brunson. But after all that hoopla surrounding these trades, and all of a sudden I started to think, well, the Blazers can use veteran guard presence to mentor Scoot Henderson. Why not keep Jrue Holiday and have that nice defense? And imagine that they can either go, I know they have a lot of guards. Imagine them going with a 3-guard offense with one of your defenders being Jrue Holiday. I thought that was going to work out so well for them. And I started to talk myself into the fact that Portland with Jrue Holiday, that can end up working out really well. Started looking at those win totals. And then, as expected, they flip them to Boston, of all places, too. And I know that a lot of people, and John, I want to get your take on this regarding what Boston sent back, picks, Brogdon, Robert Williams. I don't think it was that they sent back too much because Robert Williams can barely stay on the court anyway, and that's the key piece. And getting someone like Jrue Holiday puts them right up there. The East rolls through either Milwaukee or Boston, kind of like we were thinking last year, too.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think, parting with Robert Williams is more of like a fan issue than it is a basketball issue. You love Robert Williams, what he can do. He's on the floor. No doubt about it. He's a game changer presence at the rim. Teams struggle when he's on the floor with shot blocking. I think he had the best contested field goal percentage last year. Basically anybody that tried to shoot over him couldn't. And that's something that's going to have to change now when you're looking at Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis as the two guys now are going to man that front court for Boston. They brought in Wayne and Gabriel, who's coming off a really good FIBA series, but we'll see if he can kind of continue to be a player in this league. He's always been like a minor bench player in the course of his career. But I don't care about the draft picks, and neither does Brad Stevens. He's been trading first-round picks since he became a GM. So he doesn't really care about those first-round picks. He's expecting those picks to be at the end of the first round anyways. So whatever, deal those away. And then you're looking at, dealing an injured Malcolm Brogdon that many people didn't expect to be ready for a few months anyways as it is. And then Robert Williams, who's a great prospect, developing shot blocker, but might only have the body to play 20 minutes a night in the NBA. He can't handle that 30-minute grind. So, and Portland's already looking to trade Brogdon as it is. So they're seeing if anybody will take him for anything at this point. So we'll see where Malcolm Brogdon ends up. Maybe he ends up in Miami there. So, because I know they're probably still looking for a guard.
Yeah, they need some instant offense to help out over there with Jimmy Butler. And let's not get it twisted, guys. And that's why, and I want to throw this back to you. I mean, I was looking at some division odds here. And for the East, it's pretty much spoken for, in my opinion, at least, for the Atlantic and for the Central. You look at the Southeast, though, and look, if you could get decent odds on Atlanta at plus 210, I mean, run it back with that offense there. I don't think that's a bad bet at this time. We all saw what Miami did, and they got hot, and they're very disciplined defensively, but they did lose some of their aggressive attacking, and they did lose some of their younger legs and good three-point shooting, and gave Vincent Max Strus off the team as well. So thinking right now, not even considering a trade possibility of Brogdon going there, I'm looking at these odds here, guys, and I'm seeing Atlanta plus 210 to win the division, and I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I don't either. I do think the Heat are going to be now they're just flying under the radar again, and it could be playing with a little chip on their shoulder. So like I'm looking at them plus 1,300 odds. I'm surprised to see Cleveland ahead of them right now in those odds, but the Hawks are definitely live in that division, that Southeast division, because you look at the rest of the division. It's the Magic, the Hornets, and the Wizards, and it's definitely a two-team race in that division. So you get the value on the Hawks over the Heat because you mentioned those missing pieces now with Gabe Vincent and Strus. I mean, maybe they can make do. We'll see what Duncan Robinson is this year, but I think the Heat are also live to add another piece. We'll see if it's Brogdon. We'll see if it's James Harden. I don't know about that, but we'll see, dude.
Let's not forget that Miami needed Caleb Martin to shoot 70% from three during that series against Boston to get there. So he's expected to be a starting for them this year, but can he be that guy again? As a full-time starter? Like, did he take that next step, or was it just a fluke series? Because when he got to Denver, he did not shoot that way. He did not play that well, and now they lost two other rotational depth pieces there. I worry about them. I also think that once again we're overrating Philly here. Plus 750. I mean, Philly hasn't changed. They're the same team. James Harden doesn't want to be there. I like Maxey. That's fine, but Embiid and Maxey aren't going to be enough to get Philly in contention here. I'd rather bet on Cleveland, the Knicks, Miami, maybe even over Philly if it came to odds to win the East here.
Yeah, I mean, and Philly lost. I mean, I'm not saying George Niang is a prime piece or anything, but that's more depth that they lost right there. And it's hard for me, and I guess you can view it as one way where if you think Harden's going to be traded, maybe bet on odds now, but you don't know what they're going to be getting back, if anything at all. And we could say what we will about James Harden. He's not a winning piece as long as he's on this team. And by the way, I'm seeing the Clippers once again up there to win the title, and that's where James Harden, I say, out of any team has been most linked to go. I'm still not betting that team to win the championship. They're a broken team. Putting James Harden on there doesn't change that. It makes them balanced out a little bit more offensively. But if you haven't learned your lesson with this Clippers team just yet, waiting to see if they can stay healthy by the time we hit the playoffs, then bet them. Will you be getting as good of odds? Probably not. But I'm not betting that Clippers team. And going into last season, they were the number one. I didn't understand why. And once again, we see the health issues essentially bite them in the rear end. And them getting James Harden doesn't make them any more appealing. James Harden being on the Sixers makes me not want to bet anything Sixers related. No offense, Servo. You understand that, though. The guy's not a winning piece.
He's not
I completely agree. I'm just waiting to see when he's traded because they can't bring him back. And I feel like this situation, because the underlying thing is they need to keep Joel Embiid happy. I mean, I know he's been like a Philly guy. He's putting the team first, but eventually we see in the NBA just the stars want to force their way out of uncertain situations, and this is definitely that with this Harden.
It's like every star now these days, because
you'd like to think Embiid's kind of different, like maybe like people have said that about him, Giannis. Some of these like foreign guys aren't the same as a Harden forcing his way out of different spots. But listen, I'm glad that Philly did not pull the trigger on a Tyrese Maxey deal, with him in a Damian Lillard trade, because I love Maxey. I think he's going to take another step forward, especially if Harden's not there. Yeah. We'll see what they do. But like if he's got the ball in his hands more as like a secondary guy with Embiid, I think that's huge for them. I'm waiting for them to trade Harden. I want to see them trade Tobias Harris too at this point. That guy
cost them is a crumble cookie, according to Tobias Harris. That's what he thinks his value is. He literally said that.
I know. I remember
crumble cookie.
Giving crumble cookie some more ads there.
If you get a box of crumble cookies, that's like $45. So I mean,
Tobias Harris, brings you decent offense, good defense, crumble cookies. I think we're all going for the cookies.
Well, he is on a contract year, so maybe that gives him a little bit more upside, but I don't think so. I'm with you guys. I wouldn't bet on the Sixers right now with those odds. I'd rather take a shot at Miami for what that's worth than the Sixers. Overall, in the East though, Fensty, any other dark horse teams that you think could actually rise up, and by the time we're looking as the playoffs starting, are actually a 2 seed or a 1 seed ahead of say the Bucks or Celtics deal with some injuries or whatnot?
Nothing like that. I'll say this, when it comes to improvements, and I know that Indiana, and I'm not talking about Indiana becoming a contender immediately, but Indiana I could see improving, especially if they make maybe another deal trading away one of their swingmen. And I also, Servo, you and I talked about this a lot. Jarris Walker. I love the freaking guy. I know that they got Toppin there. If they're smart, they'll bring Toppin in off the bench and let Jarris Walker learn his way, get his reps early. Because you and I both were talking about it pre-draft. It was a perfect marriage, and I was so happy that he ended up there. But you mentioned the Cleveland Cavaliers before. We can't forget what they did defensively. What happened? They caved in the playoffs. We can't forget that the Knicks were able to muscle up a little bit more defensively, and their shooting got hot. But at the beginning of that series, it looked like Cleveland was going to control the game. I thought Cleveland was winning that series in 6, and I was pretty surprised that they just disappeared by the time we got to the middle of the series. So do I think that Cleveland can usurp either Milwaukee or Boston? No, but they're going to be in the thick of it once again, and I can't forget about that defense and their ability to slow down the pace of a lot more up-tempo offenses. They caved in the playoffs. They're going to get disrespected, but I'm not forgetting about what we saw in the regular season.
I want to see Cleveland move on from Jared Allen. I think you need to let Evan Mobley be the guy that plays down low and find another shooter that can help out, with Garland and Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, there's enough offense with those two, but I feel like at some point, Allen and Mobley kind of get in each other's way. And I think Mobley can really take off if he didn't have to deal with another big kind of down there, kind of in his way a little bit, right? Free up the paint, get someone that can stretch the floor a little bit more, and allow Mobley to kind of handle that mid-range in post game. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but they just gave Allen a big contract a couple years ago. But moving on from Jared Allen, I think in getting somebody that could shoot or stretch the floor a little bit more could help that team, I think, flow a little bit better, because Garland and Mitchell aren't like knockdown 3 guys. They take, Mitchell will take a lot of threes, but I don't really perceive him to be sort of that guy. He's more of a driver and scorer to me.
Yeah, I love it. And I love what you just said, because that's really what he is. But then he resorts to shooting from the perimeter, and you're wondering why. And even someone like a James Harden, too, when they're just chucking up 3 after 3, you've got tremendous driving ability and you're just wasting it. Let's say, though, Jared Allen, let's say, John, that the prophecy that you're putting out there comes true. And let's say they do want to move out from Jared Allen. They get themselves maybe a serviceable big towards the deadline. But let me ask you this. Do you think that Cleveland can still contend? You move Mobley to the 5, and they just got Niang from Servo's guys, the Sixers. Do you think Niang, who can shoot a bit from the outside, a little bit undersized, can he serve as a more than serviceable 4 if Jared Allen is sent packing at some point?
I mean, I think it's possible at the very least in sort of a split rotation role. I don't know if George Niang is a 32-minute-a-night guy, 35 minutes in the playoffs is enough that you want to get, but this is also an opportunity where we've never seen these guys play a lot of big minutes and how consistent they could be in a role like that. So, I mean, it's possible, but, I just think the opportunity to get someone that can stretch the floor a little bit more, because Mobley's not a floor stretcher, right? He'll attempt a couple of threes, but he's not a three-point shooter, but you get him down low, averaging almost a double-double the last couple of years here, gives you some blocks. I'd like to see him. I feel like he's getting stifled a little bit by having Allen next to him kind of taking up the paint.
I just like when one of them would get hurt immediately in every single one of our value videos. You'd have the other guy in there. I mean,
I think Mobley is an absolute monster just waiting to be unleashed. He's one of my favorite players to bet on a breakout. So I'm just hopeful that he'll get that opportunity. I just don't know if it happens with Jared Allen right next to him.
I love him, and I also love Jabari Smith as well to take that next step too out west there. So it's thinking about them. I know that they're not exactly the same, but just 2 forward centers that I think will absolutely, like you're saying with Mobley, Jabari Smith as well. Those are your kind of bigs for the future right there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what both can do. And you're right, John. I'm hoping that Mobley's a little bit more on the low block this time around.
Yeah.
Feds, before we let you go, I got to ask you about the Knicks because I know they're your team. They're besides Jay Wright, they're building a little Villanova team there. But they are, they're right in that range of being a possible contender in the East. So I don't know, what's your vibes around the Knicks?
I mean, I love them getting Dante DiVincenzo, and John's known this for years. He's been one of my favorite players. He had some health issues along the way, but a very strong combo guard that can turn up the pace. And the Knicks have a lot of these guards now that can do so, which is great. It's the front court and especially the front court defense because, look, Mitchell Robinson is who he is. He's very, very raw, but he can absolutely clog up that middle. Don't really love the depth too much up front, though, that the Knicks have. So it's going to be very interesting. Last year, did I think they played over their head a little bit? I did. I didn't expect them to be that good. And like I said before, didn't expect them to beat Cleveland in that series, but they proved that they can step up defensively. And just having Jalen Brunson with everything he can do, teardrops, driving without fear of hitting the floor very hard, and also his ability to shoot threes. The Knicks need to be able to knock down three-pointers. That's what crushed them in the postseason, and getting DiVincenzo absolutely will help with that this year.
I think putting Quentin Grimes in the starting rotation again this year and keeping him as their starting shooting guard is going to help that as well. Grimes is a pretty good outside shooter. They're going to plant him. They already said he'll be the starting 2. RJ Barrett said he's willing to come off the bench and be a 6th man. I don't know if that's
interesting.
The proper rotation for them, but he has said he'll do whatever the team needs him to do to win. We know Quickly is a spark plug off the bench for them offensively. I think what I would like to see them do is control Randall a little bit more. He'd have those random games where he'll take 13 threes. You're like, why? Why is Julius Randle taking 13 threes?
He's standing in the corner just shooting.
Yeah, use your ability to be down low and rebound and score and run the offense. Even he's a great facilitator of the ball. But I don't need him being a stand and shoot 3 guy. He hits a couple, and next thing you know, he's like, this is all I'm doing tonight. I'm just shooting 3. Yeah. See you guys later.
Yeah, maybe play him more as a smaller center. I mean, he's used to in his career alternating between power forward and center. Now on this Knicks team with Robinson there, he's more of a 4, and that's it. But I'm with you along the way. And if the Knicks didn't learn their lesson in that Atlanta playoff series a few years ago, that's what lost them that series. They kept going back to Randall, and Atlanta's like, okay, let's trap you in the corner like it's intramurals or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's the Knicks problem up front that they're going to have to address. But a lot of guards, and it makes me wonder if they'll be active towards the deadline and maybe finally get rid of. I don't want them getting rid of Quickly. I like Quickly, good energy guy, but at the same time, if they can get themselves a defensive big, that'll balance them out more because, like I said, as much as I appreciated what the Knicks did and better shooting would have brought them to the conference finals, this conference runs through Boston and Milwaukee, and outside of a plethora of injuries occurring on either team, the Knicks aren't beating either.
Yeah, 6 of the 10 playoff games the Knicks played in, Julius Randle attempted at least 7 3-pointers. He shot 25% from 3 for the playoffs. So, that's just you gotta tell the man he can't shoot out there. Yeah,
They were all awful, John. That Knicks Heat series was terrible. It was sloppy. Neither team could really get their shot going except for randomness. You mentioned before with Martin, RJ Barrett got hot, which never happened in the regular season.
Right.
Postseason, he gets hot, and it was like, eureka, I can't believe this. But they didn't have any other reliable shooters. And again, that's why I love the DiVincenzo signing for them. I think that's going to definitely help plug that a little bit. Them and the Lakers, they have to shoot better from three this year if they're going to contend.
Agreed.
Yeah, the Lakers had Gabe Vincent, so that's a big boost for them.
Huge for them.
All right, Fensty, it's been awesome, man. Thanks for jumping on here to talk some NBA. I'm sure we'll bring you on again soon. NBA season's starting up. Again, you can follow Justin Fensterman if you haven't already on Twitter at Fensty Sports. And you can hear him on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, the Game Day Morning Show before the games kick off, and the Fantasy Guru lead NBA expert as well. And if you're into some oldies rock, he's a oldies rock DJ at 14:50 a.m. Here in the DC area. So appreciate it for coming on here, Justin, and we'll talk to you again soon, man.
Hey, if you need any Sam Cooke played on your show, I'm your guy. Thank you guys so much for having me.
All right, thanks, man. All right, so some cool NBA talk there. And again, check out Fantasy Alarm, the All-Pro subscription to get in now before our NBA DFS playbooks start up over on Fantasy Alarm, and also obviously NHL DFS starting up soon as well. All right, we got
NHL DFS.
We got Twins and the Blue Jays starting up right now, so hopefully you got those bets in. We gave out earlier, but we gave out some picks for tonight's Marlins Phillies and the Brewers-Diamondbacks games as well if you want to listen back to those. We'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, talking some early lines and Week 5 early lines with Howard Bender back tomorrow. But later tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, you can check out the Tour Junkie Show here on Bettor Sports Betting with David Barnett and Pat Perry. John, been awesome, man. Thanks for coming in here on a Tuesday, and good luck with all your picks. Hopefully the Phillies come through for you. The Zach Wheeler bet comes through as well.
Yeah, it's several anytime. Always fun coming on here. And yeah, let's go make some money tonight, man.
Let's do it. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in here, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.